guys, I am the CHALL, your Dunkster Rovers channel. Yep, we're here again. We are here again. EFL, absolute disgrace. Now, I needed some clarity on the situation. Something was happening with Charlton today over the last hour or two. I needed some clarity, so you guys know Tyler Rowlinson. Messaged him on Instagram. I wanted some clarity. I need to know what was happening, and here is the official message, and I'm going to read it right now. No pictures over the top of reading off my phone right now, because this needs to be raw reactions. Nothing over the top, nothing like that, because I'm fuming. Because you need my reactions to reading this, because Tyler officially said it's difficult and long to explain, but basically an injunction has happened, so we can't be taken over until the next court date, which is on the 23rd November, effectively ending our season and potentially the club. Here we go again. Here we go again. Another football club that has been mismanaged by the EFL and the owners in charge. The ESI should be hanging their heads in shame. The EFL, we know they're an absolute disgrace. We know they're crime in football. We know they're corrupt. But this just puts another nail in the coffin. The fact they can't get taken over until the end of November pretty much ends their club, and you just know what's going to happen. There's a reason why I created a custom badge called AFC Macclesfield on that video yesterday. There's a reason why I did that, and that is because basically we know they're going to turn into AFC Macclesfield. They're going to go under. EFL's going to just sweep them under the carpet. Macclesfield are in court. They're pretty much dead. And then they'll start again in non-league, just like Bury did, just like Hereford have done, just like Darlington have started again. It's just a never-ending cycle with these clubs. And it's a disgrace. It is an absolute shambles. It's a crime in football, and you just know what's going to happen now. Charlton are going to get swept under the carpet, and they're just going to have to start again in the lower non-leagues of London as AFC Charlton or Charlton AFC. It is an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. I put blame on the ESI, who are the owners, with Roland, whatever his second name is. I can't be bothered to mention his second name because he only deserves a one name. Not even his first name counts for anything. He's a disgrace to football. No idea why he was in charge in the first place. Oh, I know why. The EFL and their fit and proper persons test. Absolute disgrace. And, you know, people can sit there, people can talk to me on and off camera. You know, I haven't got those messages yet, but people can chat to me and say, oh, why are you making videos on Charlton when you're a Doncaster fan? Why are you making videos on Macclesfield and Bury and, you know, Bolton when you're a Doncaster fan? It's because I'm not just a Doncaster Rovers fan. I'm a football fan. I'm a fan of the sport, not the business. And I care about the future of English lower league clubs because they make the football football. Not football business, football football. And to see the EFL let these owners come in, and this is the same EFL that let Steve Dale come in and take over Bury for £1. This is the same ownership that let Bacchetti take over, and there was all that, you know, around the Leyton Orient fan base a few years ago, there was all that, you know, excitement like, oh, we're going to be in the Premier League competing for the Europa League, and you know, and then in less than three seasons, 10 different managers, relegation, assaulting the assistant coach, much worse than that. You know, the Oystons at Blackpool, and they were brought in, and then all that Premier League money that they got for promotion to the Premier League was, you know, reportedly let into Oyston businesses, not even put into the football club, and the EFL let them get away with it, and it took the last resort to get rid of the Oystons. It took the last resort. It took relegation to the conference from Leyton Orient to take Bacchetti out, to take the owners out, and to replace them with decent owners. It took a last resort. It took Leyton Orient to get relegated to the conference. It took Blackpool to get League 2 football under their belt and back up to League 1 again for the Oystons to go. How long will it take? And to be fair, Blackpool and Leyton Orient, they're the lucky ones. They are the lucky ones because they've managed to survive themselves, and it took Leyton Orient a couple of years to get back up to League 2. It took Blackpool, you know, this is their second season under new ownership in Sadleir. You know, this is their second season under brand new ownership. It's not that long ago the Oystons were in charge, only a couple of years ago. So, You know, and now we're at an all-time low where it's took Bury to go out of business to, you know, to start again, and it's going to take Charlton and Macclesfield to go out of business to start again. And the EFL will not learn. They will not learn. They will just keep sweeping teams under the carpet. And you know how corrupt the Premier League is, as well as the Championship and League One and League Two. You know how corrupt the Premier League is. You know how corrupt the EFL is. They're going to band their corrupted heads together and say, oh, well, do you know what? Yeah, we've let clubs go under the carpet. We've let clubs go, but they're not important. They're not advertising our sponsorships. Let's just, you know, if we approach the Premier League, we know you're just as corrupt as I am, but can you fill these little slots in with your Premier League B teams? Can you get the 18, 21, 23-year-olds to and get all the youth leagues and put the youth leagues into the EFL? Can we combine them together? Yeah, of course, because we care about money and, you know, we don't care about passion. So, you know, we'll replace them with B teams. No! I'm sick of saying the same things over and over and over again. And I'll go back to that point. People say to me, why are you doing it? You're not a Macclesfield fan. You're not a Charlton fan. I'm a football fan. I'm not just a Doncaster fan. I'm a bloody football fan. And I'm sick and tired of the EFL and poor owners combining together to destroy football clubs. I'm sick of it. I've had enough. And you know what the EFL is going to do? They're going to just deflect away their blame. Oh, we blame COVID for the whole thing. And I discussed this with a couple of people on Facebook. Oh, they're just going to blame COVID for the whole thing. Oh, it's COVID's fault. It's COVID's fault. It's COVID's fault. We put the blame on COVID for the ticket sales, not having enough ticket sales. You don't put the blame on COVID for poor ownerships that have lasted year upon year upon year upon year. You don't blame COVID for bad EFL corruption year after year after year after year. You don't blame them for that. COVID is a 2020 beyond thing. This isn't COVID wasn't existing in 2015 when the Oystons were an all-time low with the Blackpool fans. COVID wasn't a thing in 2017 when Leyton Orient were relegated to the conference because of bad ownerships and staff and players not being paid. COVID wasn't a thing, you know, back in 2018 when Bury went under and Bolton were just saved at the final hour. COVID wasn't in 2019 when Charlton were at an all-time low and they were trying to get back up there. You know, and it's the same. How many times am I going to say this? You don't blame COVID. I know they haven't done it publicly yet, but you just know they're going to. But you don't blame COVID for something that started years ago with many other clubs. Hereford United, that wasn't in 2020. That wasn't down to COVID. That was down to poor management from the EFL to let owners come in and buy the club for between £1 and £5. If you've got money, don't care whether you've got bankruptcy experience, go in, buy a football club, yeah. And they say the fit and proper persons test, they passed. No way. There's got to be some corruption behind that. Absolutely corrupted. So what's going to happen now? Well, Tyler said it. It won't be until the end of November they can get a takeover now because the injunction's been extended. So Charlton's going to go out of business. Do we play them on Saturday now? I mean, we'll probably will. But I don't see Charlton lasting a couple more games. I think Charlton will not be playing a couple more games after that. I think Charlton, the game against Doncaster on Saturday will probably be one of your final few games as a football club. And you know what, Charlton fans, and I know you're planning to do this probably already, but I want to send this message out to the 1,000 fans that are going to go to that fan pilot programme game in the Charlton match on Saturday. Chant F the EFL. Chant it as loud as you can. Make it the most uncomfortable watch in a football match. I don't care whether your team wins, loses, draws, I don't care. Make it uncomfortable for the EFL to watch. So they might actually squirm out of their seat and say, you know what, the fans are unhappy with us, we need to change our organisation. But you know they're not going to do that. So you need to make it as uncomfortable for them as possible. Don't be violent, because I don't condone that. Don't be, don't racially abuse them, don't verbally abuse them, with very terrible language, because I don't condone that at all. But just make it as uncomfortable as possible. Do make it uncomfortable. Make it uncomfortable, because how else are people going to listen? Because the lower leagues get swept under the carpet. You know, don't abuse them. You know, don't physically abuse them. Don't racially abuse them. Don't do any of that, because I don't condone that at all. Racial abuse should not be in our game. Verbal domestic abuse should not be in our game. Should not be in society at all. But if there's any other way that can be condoned as actions by the fans, as, you know, needs to happen actions, do it. Because you need to make the EFL squirm out of their seat as much as possible without going over the line. As much as possible. I'll do it. If I was a Charlton fan and I was down there on Saturday at the Valley, I would bloody make the EFL squirm out of their seat chanting, F the EFL, get out of our league, get out of our sport. I would do all of that. I would not step over the line. I wouldn't be racist. I wouldn't be violent, because that's just not a place in our society. I would just be chanting F the EFL, because and things like get out of our sport. Just things like that. If you've got, you know, printing shops at home, if you've got makeup shops or custom making brand shops that you own, or you've got little businesses that you're working from home with that you can make custom stuff with a printer, make banners. Make banners directed at the owners of your club, Charlton, and every single fan that's at a game that's a fan palliative programme game, make banners that's directed to the EFL. Even if your club is owned perfectly, make banners towards the EFL, because the more clubs that do it and the more fan base that do it, the more people listen and the more directed to the fan bases. So my message to the EFL is F you. I'm going to give you the F you like John Cena. F you. And every single fan base, get together. Even if your club's own brilliantly. If your club's owned poorly and run poorly, direct the protest at the owners as well. But every single fan base, even if your club runs amazingly, direct your banners. Make banners and direct them to the EFL, because they are also correctly in the wrong. They are corrupting football. They are a crime waiting to happen. And there needs to be change in the EFL. Something needs to change. And there's something I've said in the past. I've said this in the Macclesfield video. We need all 4 divisions owned equally as part of one pyramid by one company. One company needs to own the Premier League, Premiership Division 1, Premiership Division 2 and Premiership Division 3, because all 4 leagues are in the same pyramid. They're only one number away from each other. Top tier, Premier League. Tier 2, Championship. Tier 3, League 1. Tier 4, League 2. They're only one number away from each other. Not 15,000 gap spaces. Do something now, because if you don't change it now, when's it going to change? Because your club could be next. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. I'm so sorry for that, Charlton fans. I'm so sorry you have to go through this, and the possible death of your football club is looming. I'm really sorry. I didn't expect to be making this video. I thought Charlton were going to be saved by Sangard, but no. They just like to find another way to screw clubs up. Thank you very much, guys. I'm the CHALL. Like, comment, subscribe and all that. Share the video around as well, because, you know, it's just, we need to share this and make change happen. Thank you very much. Goodbye. EFL, you're fired.